Hello, everybody. I'm Kelli Thompson. I'm a women's leadership coach. I'm also the founder of the Clarity and Confidence Women's Leadership Program and author of the soon to be released Closing the Confidence Gap, which should come out in the fall. So I'm so excited to be here with you for another Tuesday because I want to talk about something that I hear a lot. And if this is something that you've also been wondering, I would love for you to just give me a thumbs up, a heart, whatever. But so many women that I've been talking with say, so many of my friends and colleagues have joined the Great Resignation. They've found a different job, they've moved companies, they've made a career change. And, they're kind of wondering, like, if everyone else is changing careers, then maybe I should too, right? Is it kind of like the right thing to do, especially if you're kind of in a career rut where you've been feeling drained or bored, or there's just days where you're like, I am just totally exhausted and maybe even just teetering on the edge of burnout. Wondering, gosh, like how many more days can I push a rock uphill? Because I think sometimes that's how it feels. And again, tell me where I'm wrong. But tell me in the comments or give me a heart or a like, have you ever felt that way? Where you're like, gosh, I just feel like too many days in a row, it just feels like pushing a rock uphill. It's not that maybe you don't like working for the organization. Maybe you even love your boss or your coworkers, but there's just something that's happening where you're like, why do I not have the energy that I used to in my role? I'm supposed to love this job, right? Maybe you work for a really amazing company with great benefits and a great leader, and you're like, maybe something's wrong with me. I know when this happened to me, I would drive home on my commute when I was going to the office, and like I started to blame myself. I was just like, okay, get your stuff together. You work for a great organization. What is wrong with you? And so I started, like, my own inner critic just really started to kind of go. And I just started to get down on myself. I thought it was my problem. I thought I had to figure out a way to get out of it. And so I don't want you to blame yourself. First and foremost, I want you to have some compassion for yourself. I actually want to tell you about one of my clients. She went through this as well because, she started to ask herself, well, maybe I need to leave. And she's like, well, she's like, I guess I just really like this company and I believe in what they stand for and I like my leader. And I just don't feel that leaving is like, it's just not right for me. And so, her and I worked together one-on-one because that's why she came to me. She's like, I just don't know what to do. She's like, something is not right. I'm burnt to a crisp. I'm feeling drained. I feel like I need a change, but I don't really want to leave. And so I don't know what to do. And I feel caught in the middle, right? Like where my old job and my old life just doesn't fit. And I'm doing things that I don't love and they're draining me. But I don't want to leave, but I don't know what it's going to look like here or how I can even rework my job or my role to make it fit. And that can be a really scary place sometimes because you just feel trapped in between. And that's where she was at. And, we really start to take a look at, okay, well, what are your unique gifts? What do you love doing at work? And having conversations about what she really wanted to do. And to be honest, it took a long time to get to that because I think sometimes when you're just feeling exhausted and close to burnout and really drained, it can be really hard to get clear on what you want to do. I mean, have y'all ever been there? Tell me, because I know sometimes it was like, I don't know what I want to do, but this is not it, right? And I just want you to have a ton of compassion for yourself if you find yourself in that spot. So anyways, my client was a senior sales, I think she was like a vice president of sales was her title, for a global telecommunications company. And she loved the organization. And I want to give you some tips, some similar tips that I gave her in case you're feeling this way so that you can reconstruct and re-energize your role and have the conversations that you need to have without leaving. Because for some of us, leaving just isn't something that we desire. We actually do desire to stay. And that's what I always tell my clients before you just jump ship in the Great Resignation and find some other organization that you believe is going to solve all your problems or be the perfect fit or reignite your energy. Let's make sure first we've had conversations inside our existing organization with our existing leaders to maybe kind of rework your role a little bit. Otherwise, sometimes you can very unintentionally go to a new organization and kind of recreate your old situation because you're unwilling to have conversations about, designing your role in a way that works for you and your talents. So anyways, here's what I want you to notice. Here's my 2 tips for you. First, I want you to start noticing your energy. And this might sound a little woo-woo, but it's just really not. Like, this is just kind of a day in, day out thing that as women, I believe that we need to learn to trust ourselves. And one of the ways that we, I talked about, if you joined me last week, was we tend to not trust ourselves. We're so busy overworking, over dieting, over exercising that we don't even stop and check in and ask, like, what's my energy like? I want you to really think about how you spend your day and what things give you energy, what projects give you energy. I want you to actually draw a line down a piece of a paper or a Post-it, or just mentally kind of draw a line in your head. And I want you to put 2 columns. I want you to put on the left, energy suckers. And on the right, I want you to put energy surgers. And I want you to start making a list. So let's start with energy surgers. Energy surgers are all of those things that you do that just make you come alive. You get a project and you are so excited about this project. Time just flies. It feels easy and effortless. Now, it doesn't mean that the project isn't challenging. In fact, in many instances, these projects are very challenging. But the difference is because they're using your best talents, like, even though they feel challenging, when you're done with them, you're like, you just feel good. Like, you feel energized, you felt useful, you felt valuable, like you contributed. You're like, that was really difficult. And it's also capitalized on everything that I love to use, right? Give me a heart or a like, or tell me yes. Have you ever had projects like that felt super challenging, but you just felt so fulfilled? Like, that's an energy surger. When you're done with those projects or those things at the end of the day, you still have like energy left over for the people around you. So I want you to start noticing that. Notice what you're pulled to. Notice what feels good. Notice what makes you come alive. Notice where like things just flow, okay? Notice what types of projects that you're drawn to. So put those in the energy surger line. Then on the left side where you have your energy suckers, I want you to start thinking about all of the things that drain your energy, okay? These could be the tasks that you said no to 2 years ago, or said yes to 2 years ago, and you're still doing them out of the goodness of your heart because you're like, I'll just do it. It's just better and faster and easier if I do it. When I was talking with my client about this, she had some of these tasks that she was hanging on to, and they were just energy suckers big time. And I'm like, why are you hanging on to these? She goes, I just don't want to burden anyone else with these. And so we had to have a conversation about, like, what is the cost of burdening yourself with these? Not only for you energetically and in your own mental health, but when you're not showing up, right? How are you actually unintentionally maybe impacting or burdening others with your lack of energy because you just don't want to hand off projects? In fact, many of the tasks that she was holding on to that were draining her energy were probably in somebody else's energy surger bucket. Like, literally, when you think about these sort of things, don't feel bad. Like, I don't want to burden someone else with these. Like, no, this probably is going to light someone else up, and like, you're robbing them of that opportunity. So we had to make a list of, just some of the tasks that she said yes to, that she wasn't delegating, that she could get off her plate. This is also another place where we really had to check some leaky boundaries. So these were leaky boundaries, like it was a global organization. So fair enough. She goes, Kelli, I know what I've signed up for. She goes, I know that to talk with my colleagues in China, I'm going to have 2 nights a week where I have an 8 or 9 p.m. meeting. She's like, I signed up for that, and I adjust my schedule those days accordingly. The problem is she had 4 days of meetings that were happening that late at night. And again, out of the goodness of her heart, she goes, it's fine. And she didn't say this out loud. She told me later, she goes, I was just okay being inconvenienced on my end to accommodate what felt good on their end. She goes, I rarely asked my colleagues in China if they would do the 8 p.m. meeting. And so we really had to work on some of those boundaries, right? Where are some of those leaky boundaries? Where can you say, you know what, like, I am going to meet 2 nights a week. How are you closing your desk at the end of the day to make sure that you're not overworking? It's so tempting to check email. So it's not sometimes just tasks that can suck your energy or projects that you've been delegated, but it can also come in the form of, saying yes because we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. We don't want to look incapable, but it's saying yes to things when we really just want to say no. And so what did her and I do? So her and I got really clear through some other exercises I do with my one-on-one clients about getting super clear on exactly what she's been put on this earth to do, really clarifying her unique talents and really noticing like how her choices were impacting her energy, what surged her energy and what drained her energy. And then it was all about, okay, well, what do you do with that? Now, in her situation, we had kind of gotten to a point where she's like, I think she was really far gone. And she's like, I'm just going to go in and quit. She's like, I just need to quit. I just need to quit. And, as her coach, like, I just, whatever's right for you. So I encourage you to have these conversations before you go in and quit. But that conversation, though, they didn't want her to leave. And it actually turned into a really amazing conversation where she ended up having the courage to just ask for what she needed. And she just told them, she said, you know what? I love working here. I do love my job in sales, and this is no longer working for me anymore. Here's the things that I'm really interested in developing. In her case, one of the things that she was super passionate about was employee development, building diversity and inclusion programs, building programs for employee development and well-being. And so she had a really open and honest and candid conversation with her CEO about what she wanted. And they literally designed a job around her. And now here she is 6 months later, and she says, you know what, just really doing that work of understanding what was sucking my energy, what was surging my energy, and really clarifying, what I want and having the courage to tell people. She says, my life is totally different. She goes, and I realized how often I was playing the martyr. Now, she didn't use the word martyr, right? But really just say, oh, I'll do that. I'll take care of that. I don't want to burden you. I'll take all the late meetings. She goes, I recognize that my time is just as valuable and my energy is just as valuable, because if I'm not showing up as my best self, she's like, I'm not going to be able to contribute the way I want to contribute. She's like, I'm not going to be the coworker that I want to be. I'm not going to be the mom and the wife and all these other things that I want to be. So when we got really clear about what surged her energy, that's usually where that is where your unique talents lie, what sucked her energy, and she could start having really clear conversations with her leaders about what she desired to create. She's like, yes, it was so hard to be clear and vulnerable. I mean, that's hard. That's really hard to tell people because, what if they say, we don't have that for you, get out of here. I think that's what we often fear, but it doesn't typically happen in my experience. I've had these conversations and many of my clients have had these conversations. So to recap, if you're feeling like maybe your work needs to be re-energized because you're feeling drained or bored and you're not certain that the great resignation is for you, you're watching everyone else leave, but you're like, I just don't think that's for me. I want you to start noticing your energy. Start noticing the things that you continually to say yes to that suck your energy dry. Or maybe you said yes to them 2 years ago and they're just no longer serving you. What can you dump and what can you delegate? Also, notice what is surging your energy, right? Really start to pay attention. Oh my gosh, this makes me come alive. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel challenged and fulfilled and useful. Those are probably clues into your unique talents. And how can you have some conversations to find more of those opportunities in your role? And so then the final step is to be clear about what you want and need. Be clear about setting boundaries. Little things like, I'm happy to help you. I'll take a look at it first thing tomorrow morning. I'm happy to meet with you in the evening. I reserved Tuesday nights for my late meeting nights. Have conversations about, this project is no longer a development opportunity for me. I would like to talk about who else on the team would like the opportunity to learn this skill. And really having clear boundary setting opportunities will help you dump some of the things that are draining your energy so that you can have conversations to add in more things that will bring your energy alive. Now, even as an entrepreneur, I still have to do this because I tend to get into ruts of things that, were okay for me in the beginning, but like really drain my energy. And I've even had to hire two assistants into my business to help with some of that, because I would come to do the task and then I'm just like, oh, I can't, and then that energy drain just impacts everything else that you do. And so that was a huge signal for me. It's like, Kelli, it's time to hire someone to help you. It's time to hire help. So I would love to hear any thoughts or comments or reflections about this. I want to share a wonderful tool that you can do as a leader that I got from one of my clients. This is a different client. She also recognized the value of this activity. And she did it herself in dumping and delegating work that drained her energy, and having conversations with her leader about taking on more projects that felt like they were using her talents. She's like, this is so good. She goes, I gave my employees like the assignment to do it themselves. They were supposed to notice their energy over the course of the week and notice what drained them and what energized them, and then come back to me with the results. Like, no judgment, right? I just want to know. And she goes, it was a great opportunity for me to realign some tasks on the team, and give some things to the people who like were super excited about them, and then rebalance some things to other people that, she goes, it is amazing how an Excel spreadsheet can drain someone and totally energize someone else. So she's like, it just really helped me rebalance some of the work on the team and helped us, collaborate and get a lot more done. So if this is something you want to learn more about, definitely message me. I'd love to talk to you about working with you one-on-one. If you feel like you're in a situation like this and you want some one-on-one love and help, like some of my clients did. And I also have a group program too. My Clarity and Confidence Women's Leadership Program begins on March 29th. And I keep this small with only 15 women because I want an intimate container. That's really important to me. And we have 6 spots remaining. It's an 8-week live class. So we come together on Tuesdays at 12 Central. The classes last about an hour and 15 minutes. And I walk through 8 core topics that I believe are critical to women's leadership, corporate women's leadership today. And I teach those live. And then as part of that, you also get a one-on-one with me. So some of the topics that I'm teaching are how to claim your role as a confident leader and how to define your unique leadership style, what makes you unique as a leader. We use the Enneagram to discover what motivates you, what fears maybe unintentionally hold you back at work, and what your strengths are as a leader. We talk about this. We talk about, what have I put on your earth to do? Like, what are my unique talents and how can I find them and use them? We talk about how to close the confidence gap. Overcoming imposter syndrome is a big one that we talk about. I teach women how to trust themselves. So we really learn how to go in and like trust your gut with those really important life and career and leadership decisions. And maybe even decisions like this, where you're wondering, do I stay or go in my career? And that can really bring you a lot of career clarity. I give women a framework to speak up and use their voice at work. And then also a framework on how to reverse engineer their success. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'll drop the link. Or you can go to my website at kellyraythompson.com, or just send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I always respond to my messages. So thanks for joining me today. I'd always love to hear what other topics you would love for me to cover. And I will see you all again next week. Have a good day.